Welcome to the Side Action Podcast, the sports gambling show that covers everything in the world of sports betting from A through Z. We'll cover the four major sports, as well as anything and everything in between worth some action, and will increase the size of your bankroll. And here we go.
All right, welcome to the Side Action, episode 15 of Season 5. My name is Lars, a.k.a. Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And I'm Steve Roberts, a.k.a. Action. You can follow me on Twitter at 31sroberts.
Follow the podcast at Side Action Pod on Twitter and Side Action Podcast on Instagram. So, Action, how you doing? Obviously, I'm remote. I'm in the city of brotherly love, getting a lot of love at the bars, or maybe not really. They kind of turned us away at a speakeasy last night. But overall, having a good time over here with the company party. Nice.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just work week. Trudging along, we had a good time at the Santa Con at the Royal Oak Bar Crawl, and we got home in time to watch Purdue and Michigan face off in the Big Ten Championship, where I quickly fell asleep, and then I woke up with like a minute left. Purdue was covering until Jim Harbaugh did to punch in a last-minute touchdown to get past the number.
Yeah, he went full throttle in that game.
Yeah.
He was not playing games. It was interesting, but
What can you do?
Actually, we're not going to talk about college much, but there were a lot of calamity last weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, with the USC loss, and then Kansas State beat
TCU.
TCU. TCU did make the playoff. Still kept the third spot, but Ohio State jumps in, which was a big deal.
For sure.
I want to talk about it. Did you know that Nick Saban was mentioned in the point spread? He was like, hey,
oh, yeah.
If Alabama was in, they'd be, heavy favorite or 2-touchdown favorite or whatever it was.
Well, they're not going to make it. So.
Yeah, sorry, suckers. But great. Well, let's get into this. Let's go over week 13 here. Obviously, there was a lot of things that happened. First of all, Jimmy G. Jimmy G is out. I've read, initially he was going to be out for the season, which he's still out for the regular season. But now it's looking like it's a 7 to 8 week foot injury. So he could come back if they make a deep run in the playoffs. You've got your guy, Brock Purdy, who was Mr. Irrelevant, who's going to be the quarterback for the Niners, which definitely changed the prospects for them to win the title.
Yeah, a huge impact to their title chances. Although, really, when it comes down to it, I have a hard time putting a number on it from Jimmy G to Purdy. It's not like he's been dropping back and throwing for 400 yards a game and running the offense. They rely on that short passing game and really the run game. So time will tell here over the next few weeks what the downgrade really looks like. I mean, they're reliant on that defense. So. And
maybe McCaffrey, get on the ball more. Purdy did have a couple touchdown passes because he came in relief in this first half. You can talk about that game, but he was dumping the ball off and a couple short touchdowns. So, he's a little more mobile than Jimmy G.
True.
So we'll see how that works.
And I think they signed Josh Johnson as the backup there, so in case needed.
Okay. This is Josh Johnson, who's never started an NFL game.
Yeah, and he's played for like half the league in 15 years, I think.
Never started. It's great. Another big quarterback injury, just for this week at least, is Lamar Jackson. He's got a knee injury. Obviously, you've seen Tyler Huntley. Is that right? Tyler Huntley. He played well down the stretch last year, so maybe they won't have a big setback, but they struggled. They did win last week, barely. They really shouldn't have won, but they won at the buzzer there. What do you think the impact of that one's going to be?
Probably less of a downgrade just because Huntley plays the same mobile style that Lamar does. It's certainly not Lamar Jackson, but the key for the Ravens is they don't have to change the game plan now. They can still play that same read option type of game plan.
Right. Gotcha. I've got a couple other big injuries. The Giants, I think they're on bye actually, but Adoree Jackson, he's out with a knee. Maybe they are playing Washington's got the bye. You've got Robert Quinn for Philadelphia has a knee injury. He's on IR, so he's out at least, till maybe the last game of the season. A couple of guys that maybe will play, but Kenneth Walker III, who's been a great running back for Seattle, he has an ankle injury. he's questionable. So to check practice reports. Newsflash, Seattle stinks. Anyway, fail this again. Antoine Winfield and Sean Murphy Bunting for Tampa in the secondary are questionable. One with an ankle, one with a quad, and that can really affect that team. They got to win the other night too, but didn't look very impressive. And your guy, Davis Mills, he's back.
Yeah.
He's back. He had a chance. Kyle Allen with his small hands didn't cut it. We're back to Davis Mills.
Yeah, Kyle Allen was not playing well. Not that Davis Mills is Peyton Manning there waiting in the wings, but I think it's certainly going to be an upgrade for the Texans, although I'm not sure it's going to matter against the Cowboys this week.
Right. And then last night, much to our proxy chagrin, Baker Mayfield comes in for the Rams. They're down 16-3 in the fourth quarter and win outright. How that happened, I have no idea. I mean, it's just terrible. I don't know what happened to that defense. Well, the Raiders aren't great at D, but still.
It's really incredible. I think I read that this is the fourth time this season that the Raiders have had a double-digit lead going into the halftime break and lost the game.
What can you do? Sorry, Proxy. His thought of them making the playoffs back door are over.
Yeah.
But let's go over the games from last week. We were on the Steelers. They were 1.5-point favorites against that was Atlanta, right? So that was I'm glad I didn't see the game, but I'm glad I saw that we got the cover. They won the game 19-16. Just kind of a knockdown, drag out fight, but they win it. I'm not trying to jinx them now because they got a big game this week, but their Tomlin's streak of making it, having a 500 or better season is still alive.
Yeah, 5-7. So just needs to get 3 more victories on the season to get there. Right? No.
Yeah.
They play 17 now. He needs 4.
He needs 4.
That's right.
I mean, they got to actually be over 5
right.
because they can't go 8-8. But still, I mean, they can do it. Maybe.
I mean, they're playing well. Kenny Pickett, another steady game, 197 passing yards, and Freiermuth played well, and we talked about Pickens last week. He had a down week, but I'm sure he'll bounce back.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have a better week. But the defense, it's the defense. TJ Watt's back. They're playing great. They were able to stuff that run game for the most part of Atlanta. So we'll see about them this week. They play the Ravens. We were not right on the Jets, although I think we had the right side here action. The Jets were – it was a slow start to the game. The Vikings were up pretty big. It was 20-7 or something. It was 20-9, something weird like that.
20-6 at halftime.
And then in the second half, 20-6, yeah. So then the Jets, they were moving the ball on the Vikings all day, settled for a lot of field goals. I mean, they were just kicking field goals every time. And then they did cut it. They were 27-22. Actually, it's 20. They were down like 20. I think it was 20-15. Vikings got a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Seemed like the nail in the coffin, but no. The great Mike White took them down for a touchdown. We had life, 27-22. They had a late drive with 2 minutes to go, got stuffed at the goal line repeatedly. But then they get the ball back again, and then Mike White throws an interception. So they end up losing the game 27-22. So congrats, Vikings, for covering another game somehow, something out of your ass. But really, I think the Jets were the better team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they got dominated in the box score, the Vikings, that is. Yards discrepancy was very 486 to 287. And then you touched on it, the red zone efficiency, 1 out of 6 for the Jets. So I think that that game could have easily gone the other direction, probably more often than not, to be honest. And the Vikings got another lucky cover.
And we'll talk about that later, but your Lions are favored in this game against Minnesota. So we didn't go on the Commanders probably smartly because I had a feeling about this game, actually. I'm not sure what it was. Had a twinge, something. Commanders, even though all these metrics going into the bye and all this other garbage, I'm like, let's stay away because it's this divisional matchup. And look what happened. I mean, it was really they were losing late. They were down 20-13 late. Had a late score to get the game to overtime, and neither of these teams could move the ball in overtime. And then the Giants missed a very long field goal at the end of overtime to basically get the tie. But the Giants did cover the number at 2.5.
Yeah, wild game. It seemed like the Giants were in control throughout until that fourth quarter. Washington made a furious comeback.
Mhm. Cleveland, we were a little bit. I mean, I was thinking that they were the right side, but if you watch the game, you wouldn't think
Hmm.
that. You get Deshaun Watson back. Oh, maybe he was a little intimidated by these victims that were sitting out there watching him because he had a horrible game. He was atrocious, but the defense played incredibly. There was a return touchdown, and they had two defensive scores in this one for the only touchdowns for Cleveland in this game. But they cover the 7 points and they win 27-14. Obviously, we talked about Davis Mills starting now, but obviously a lot of improvement for
Hmm.
Watson coming in for this
Yeah,
week.
a little rusty in week one. I think that was to be expected. And I do think that he'll bounce back a little bit, play better this week against his division rivals in the Bengals.
Yeah. We mentioned Seattle, and whatever. Seattle, their defense is not good. I don't know what it is that we thought they were good. You look at the metrics, they're not good. But since they've come back from the bye, they're just letting teams go all over them, including the Rams. The Rams were actually winning in this game late. Seattle had to get a late score to get ahead of them 27-23, so they win the game, but they don't cover the 7 points. And, I was salty about it. We were even like, oh, we can get a defensive score, except that's when the Rams went and got a touchdown and they had to make Seattle score
Yeah.
late to win.
Yeah, I mean, they ended up getting the victory 27-23, but not enough for us. I was kind of surprised to see Wolford out there under center. I expected that Pickens was going to play, and Wolford got cleared late, so that certainly was a difference maker in the game, I think.
Yeah, yeah, no Perkins exactly. A couple of the covers we did get though, Cincinnati, they came through for us. This was a great game. This was a really fun game to watch. Bengals were up early. I mean, they were pretty dominant in the first half. Had a chance to kind of not put the game away, but really extend the lead, but got stuffed. They went stupid jet sweep on 4th and 1 inside the 15-yard line in the first half. But the Chiefs roared back, took a lead in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati had to come back and actually win the game, in the fourth. But they won 27-24, so we're on the right side. But really kind of could have gone either way on this one. I mean, Kansas City did play well, but that's three straight that the Bengals have beaten the Chiefs.
Yeah, all three in this calendar year, too, with the late season victory in the playoffs.
Mm.
I mean, it was a pretty even game. I think you nailed it. The yards were fairly even, red zone efficiency all pretty even. It was just the late game situations again. I think Andy Reid made a misstep by kicking that long field goal, which gave the ball back to the Bengals, and then they were able to ice the game with a couple of key first downs.
Right, right. A game we didn't pick, but we talked about the Raiders. They were 1-point favorites against the Chargers. It seemed like the right side of the Chargers kind of roared back, and then, of course, the Raiders had to pull one out, and they got a third straight win before last night, 27-20. We were communicating with the proxy, and then, of course, the proxy was so excited about the flea flickers and all the other stuff the Raiders were running. But so they were on a roll, and then obviously last night they kind of hit the skids.
Yeah, tough loss last night for sure.
Yeah. The last one was Dallas. They were 10.5-point favorites against Indianapolis. It was a big number. We took it. We thought that they were ready to go. Indy was game for three quarters. This game was very tight. I think it was 21-19 or something with at the end of the third quarter. And then that defense just flipped a switch. It was Matt Ryan looked like the Matt Ryan early in the season. I think they had, is it 3 or 4 straight turnovers in that game that turned
Mm-hmm.
into touchdowns for Dallas, whether it was a return touchdown defense or they got set up for an easy touchdown, and then they just completely blew them out, 54-19. Actually, I got to be honest with you, and I know we've talked about Mike McCarthy. I'm on record that he stinks. I think this team will win the title. They got the, and we all
Yeah.
knew that the ceiling, right? But I've seen it a couple times this year that they have what it takes. They've got that defense. Dak's playing well, the running game. It's obviously injuries now at this point, but the team's really good.
Yeah, they are. And it's hard for McCarthy to screw up the defense. I think that's one component. But we talked about it last week. I think the duo of Thunder and Lightning, the two tailbacks, Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, have really elevated this team to another level, too, because they don't have to rely on Dak just to drop back and throw it 40 times each week. They have a really stout run game, and that's going to be key going into the playoffs.
Yeah, against their big opponents in the NFC, the Eagles and 49ers, that's all they pretty much do. So
Yep.
on the trends, it was a flip week. The favorites came out and came out swinging. They were 10-5. So dogs 5-10 this week. Unders were split, or totals were split, under 7-8 this week. 3 games against the spread that mattered. So we're starting to get that trend where it's 2 or 3 every week that the spread comes into play. And unders are hard to pick, for totals at least. And then, obviously, it's not going to be every week that's like this, but the favorites really dominated this last week.
Yeah. Yeah, favorite, especially outright. I think, you got them here. 13 or so favorites came home. So
Mm-hmm.
big day for moneyline bettors, for those of you who like to go that route.
Right. As a look ahead of Week 14, which already started, as we mentioned, you've got a lot of teams on bye. You got the Packers, Bears, Commanders, Falcons, Colts, and Saints. A lot of our teams in there. Didn't even talk about the Bears blowing it against the Pack, but you knew that was going to happen. Let's go into Sunday's games now. Action. We mentioned the Cowboys already. They're robust. They open as a 17-point favorite against the Texans. Their in-state rival here. 44.5 point total. The total's up to 45.5, and now it's 17.5 in the contest. I don't think I can get that. I love the Cowboys, but 17.5 is a little big for me. Although the number's right for me. It's really right in there. 16, I think I have it.
Yeah.
17.5. But dang, you're not going to make a case for the Texans, are you?
No way. I think I've moved them to the do not bet list.
Right.
I really was contemplating a bet on the Cowboys. I would like to get them somehow on my card, but certainly not interested in 17.5. I would consider 17, but looking at the odds screen, those are pretty much wiped away at this point. So for the contest, I think it's definitely a pass. Could be a situation where you look to play live.
Yeah.
If for some reason the Cowboys start a little slow, there could be some value there. That's my only nugget.
Maybe you can tease them down to 11.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Typically, you want to stick to those traditional teasers, 7, so range 8 down to under field goal.
Right. Okay, well, pass on that one. We'll see if Davis Mills plays better. All right, so this one's interesting. In the AFC South, you've got the Jags against the Titans. Titans hosting. Titans open as a 3.5 point favorite at home, 41 point total. It's still 3.5 in the contest, the same total. And this is tough, man. The Jags obviously went to Detroit and got stomped. They had that big win the week before. They couldn't keep the momentum going. Again, every week on paper, the Jags are a better team than the Titans, but the Titans somehow do it. The Titans got stomped last week by the Eagles.
Yeah.
I'm not pushing for the Jags because it's hard to trust those guys, but it's hard to trust the Titans either with these numbers. 3.5 is not a good number.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit too much, to be honest with you. I make the number 1 on a neutral, and I think that maybe could get you to the 3. But when you're looking at a divisional game here with a relatively low total, 41 points, I think that there's value on the Jaguars here. And the big injury for me that I want to monitor, and pulling it up now, is Treylon Burks. Their rookie wide receiver, has really come out and been a huge boon to their offense recently with the down the field threat. And he got a concussion last week against Philadelphia. And if he's not on the field, I think it's really impactful to their offense. And so I'm reading here he's questionable with that concussion. Certainly something to look at. But if he's out of the offense, I like the Jaguars quite a bit with the hook.
It's like we're doing a yellow on the Jags here.
Okay.
That's crazy for me to say, but all right. Next game, you mentioned earlier, AFC North rivalry game. You got the Browns going to the Bengals. Bengals open as a 4.5 point favorite, 49 point total. It's up to 5.5 in the contest, and the totals come down to 47.5. The Browns did beat them on Monday night earlier in the season, so there's a kind of a revenge angle at home for the Bengals. They're playing great. Do you see a letdown? I mean, obviously the market likes Bengals. We do too. I mean, really good team. But 5.5 is a pretty big number for a division rival.
Yeah. And Joe Burrow's never beaten the Browns in his young career. Looking back here, that's 6 straight covers for the Browns in this matchup.
Wow. Interesting.
I'm sorry, not covers, but outright wins. There was a couple of underdog covers for the Bengals there in 2020.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, the Browns just have Burrow's number in this Bengals offense. I don't know if it's schematic or the pressure that Myles Garrett and company gets on him. They have yet to beat him, and that gives me a little bit of pause. I do, you have seen the money go towards the Bengals, 4.5 out to 5.5 and 6 in some places in the market. And so presumably that might be some public money. Maybe some sharps are getting on it earlier this week. But, I mean, we certainly like the Bengals. I think we both could say that. And they've been trending upwards.
Oh, yeah.
I know that your metrics are showing that as well. So there could be some value there, but I'm just not sure I can get over the Browns bugaboo.
Yeah. Let's stay away. But you wouldn't make the case to go on the Browns.
No, I certainly have no interest in the Browns in this matchup. I mean, Cincinnati's run defense is mediocre. They're dead middle, 16th. And, that's always one thing that we look at for Browns opponents. But I just don't really know what to expect out of Watson yet. I'd like to see him play a good game first before I look to back them.
Gotcha. No, I agree with you. It's their offense looks so bad, but of course that's when you want to rely on them, I guess. I was going to look at the Bengals schedule real quick because they have a daunting schedule, actually. Obviously, they just played the Chiefs. Now they play the Bucs next. I'm not crazy, but they still have the Bills on their schedule. I mean, and the Ravens. I mean, it's a tough. I mean, I like the Bengals a lot. I think they're going to win the division, but we'll see. They still have a lot of games to go with this tough schedule.
Yeah, well, Lamar Jackson's injury certainly aids that a little bit too.
Right. All right, here we go. Next game, Eagles-Giants. Eagles open as a 6.5-point favorite at the Giants, 45-point total. And that's what you see in the contest, 6.5 and 45 total. It's hard to get a handle on this Giants team. They had a really good early season run. They played good last week. The Eagles should beat them, but it's a little steep for me on the road. I think that they can cover this game. The 6.5 certainly better than 7. But the Giants at home. I mean, they got to keep winning. Obviously, I don't know. I'm a stay away guy in this game. Actually, I don't know if I can get a 40%.
Well, this is the first matchup this season, so no real data to look at in terms of what the 2022 versions of these teams are. But right. I show a little value on the Eagles side. I've got this game at 10 on a neutral field. And if you consider maybe 2.5 points of value as a stretch, I think that this should be north of a touchdown. And showing the number 6.5 in the market, I think, is a little bit of value. And also just looking at the matchups, that Giants run defense has been porous, 27th ranked against the run, and quite frankly, 28th against the pass. So I think that the Eagles may have some success moving the ball against them. And on the flip side, I'm not sure that the Giants are going to be able to score a lot in this game.
Yeah, and they did play overtime. Maybe a little tired legs there.
True. It's fair. Good point too.
I mean, you're totally right. I mean, I have the exact same analysis on the numbers. It's a 10 on a neutral, 8 should be the game. But oof. All right, let's put a yellow on Eagles.
Consider. All right. Yep. I like it.
They did bounce back.
Chance to ice. I mean, they have to. They also got to keep winning to fend off the Cowboys. This division's not dusted yet, so got to maintain that laser focus.
It is not. They still got to play the Cowboys late, and maybe they have it sewn up by then. All right, so the Ravens are going to the Steelers. These great divisional matchups all across the league this week. You got the Ravens and the Steelers. Obviously, we talked about Tyler Huntley starting for the Ravens, which is big. The Steelers still open as a 1-point favorite, at home. Now they're up to 2.5 in the contest. The total's really low, 37.5 down to 37. Is it too much love? We talked about the Huntley drop-off isn't that big. I mean, it's really hard to gauge the Steelers. They played a lot better, of course, with TJ back. So, I don't know, man. On paper, the Ravens are still the better team. I don't trust them ever. Mm-hmm. But everybody's got this. Pittsburgh, right? I mean, my numbers don't say that, right? So Baltimore would be the play for me, but 2.5 is a better number. I think I saw 3 at one point, so I put
Wow.
+3 as the Baltimore play, but
Okay.
now it's obviously down to 2.5.
I mean, I think this all comes down to how you value the downgrade from Jackson to Huntley, right? I mean, the Baltimore numbers are really with Jackson under center, and if you
Yep.
take maybe a point and a half downgrade, then maybe you do get to this number reasonably. But I don't know. I think it's more of a stay away. I believe that they were in this exact same situation last year when Jackson had gotten hurt, and then they went to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh won the game by a field goal. So,
Right.
and historically looking back at some of these AFC North matchups, it's field goal victories
hmm
one way or the other. So you have to imagine it's going to be a tight game, and just wonder if taking 2.5 might be a little short.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If it was a 3, it's different. So 2.5, we
Yeah.
can stay away. That's fine.
Okay.
Uh, all right, here we go. Jets, Bills. We talked about our Jets here. So Bills open as a 9.5 point favorite at home, 44.5 point total. It's 9.5 in the contest still, 43.5 point total. So, actually, what do you make this game in terms of your spread? Because this is
6.5.
way off for me,
Six
but
and a
I
half on a
know the
neutral.
Jets. Yeah. So I'm 6.5. Okay. So I'm way different than you. I've got this game as 5.5, even in Buffalo.
Wow.
So it's just a numbers difference. You've got your numbers closer then 6.5. That's 8.5. So it's just a point
Yeah.
of value for the Jets. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, Buffalo has killed teams a lot I mean, traditionally they did lose against the Jets early in the season.
Yeah.
So there's
It was only a few weeks ago.
I know it's a payback spot for the Bills, right? So, but 9.5 is big. That is too much. It's too much. I'm on the
Yeah,
Jets.
but I mean,
Sorry.
me too. I mean, the Jets defense really held down that Buffalo Bills offense in the first meeting on November 6th, and they ended
Yeah.
up winning the game 20-17. And I haven't seen anything from this Buffalo Bills offense the past couple of weeks that leads me to believe that they're going to just magically flip a switch and be able to dominate on that side of the ball. I mean, they are the Bills, yes, but I think this Jets defense has something against them. And on the other side, we now have Mike White under center instead of Zach Wilson, and I think that's an upgrade too. So looking at these two games comparatively, I think that there's definitely value on the Jets again.
All right. Are we going green here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Green, green for the Jets. It's weird. I can't believe I mean, I'm like you. Like all last year, you loved the Jets, and they were terrible. But this year, they're good.
Major difference.
You've taken me to the green side, the dark side. All right, so let's go Vikings Lions. Vikings open as a 1 point favorite on the road at the Lions. 53 point total. Total's come down to 52.5. I think now it's the Lions 2.5 point favorites. So kind of a big move from the opener. I don't know if that's when that opener was done. These teams are actually pretty even. I think that Minnesota's certainly we've talked about them, they're living dangerously every single week. But are you that excited about your Lions, your hometown Lions?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this number has certainly moved quite a bit, but going from 1 point favorites to the Vikings to 2.5 on the other side, not a
Mm-hmm.
massive move in terms of numbers and value.
Mm-hmm.
It did open at 1 on Sunday night. I opted for the money line to take the Lions at even money, 100, and
Okay.
I think they're going to win this game. The offense has been playing really well lately. You have St. Brown back into the lineup, and DeAndre Swift is finally getting healthy again. And I just don't see how the Vikings defense is going to stop them. So
Right.
I expect the Lions are going to put up a lot of points this week, and I'm sure the Vikings will too. But I like the Lions as a short home favorite here.
Okay. Well,
What are your
put a
thoughts?
yellow on there. I think
Okay.
you nailed it. I think at some point the Vikings' luck is going to run out, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen it this year when they played. Not that the Lions are a great team, but they've gotten smashed in certain spots, right? So they got smashed against the Eagles. They got smashed against the Cowboys. Those are better defenses. But on the road, I think they had another kind of miracle win last week. I think this is the week they actually lose one. So, and the Lions, you got a little hope for the playoffs here with the Lions?
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say that too. They're firmly in the mix now, so they have something really to play for. Not that they didn't early in the season.
Right. All right, Lions. Look at this. He's converting me. I'm weak. I'm drinking too much this week. And I can't. He's overpowering me with his underdog picks. Although these are the favorites in this case. All right. Yeah. So Chiefs Broncos. Broncos. This is at home in Mile High. Chiefs open as a 9.5-point favorite, 41.5-point total. The total's at 44. I'm not sure where that happened, but it's still 9.5 in the contest. All right, actually not going to be popular here because the Broncos stink, but I think it's too big of a number for the Chiefs. I don't know what it is. I mean, the Broncos actually, whatever. They probably. This team is they have a good defense. They give up like 17 points a game. 20 points a game. Mm-hmm. If they, did you hear the stat? If they in regulation scored 17 points or more every game, they'd be like 10-2 or something like that.
Wow.
So of course they don't score that, so that's why they stink. But that defense is legit. They haven't given up on the season, and this is a perfect opportunity to hold down this amazing Chiefs offense.
Yeah, I can't really understand this total. Yeah. I mean, and seeing the move go up too, I don't get it at all. The Broncos are 9-1, 11-1 the under this year, and not hardly any of their games have eclipsed 40 points. And maybe the bettors are thinking that Kansas City is going to score on them, but I'm with you. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I don't know about that Russell Wilson-led offense. It gives me a little pause at this number.
That's right.
I do.
You don't want to ride. You don't want to ride.
I agree that there's definitely value to the Broncos here, but we can color it yellow and talk some more about it. It's definitely going to be contrarian. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
All right.
I saw some funny meme on Twitter about the Let's Ride. And, I mean, that guy, he's fun. And the Broncos have burned us too in the past. So what can I say? But they're not a favorite. It's a favorite.
Sure. Yeah. It's a big number, and I know that you and I have talked about how Kansas City has struggled in the last 2 seasons to cover these types of point spreads, and going on the road makes it no easier task.
Yeah, divisional matchup, Okay, Bucks and 49ers, sort of a murky game, more or less. I mean, the Bucks, God, they pulled one out of their hat last week. They really shouldn't have won that game, but they did. And Tom Brady got it done, made it happen. Didn't cover his number, but he made it happen. So, it's interesting number here. The 49ers are still they're a 4-point favorite at home. It's 3.5 now in the contest. The total's 37, very low. Should be a defensive battle. That hook I don't like the hook, but San Francisco, I mean, obviously the Jimmy G led San Francisco 49ers should be a bigger. So the real question is, can Brock Purdy make it happen against this defense? And I'm not sure. I think they're going to win the game. 3.5 is a tough cover.
Do you think that Tom Brady and that Bucs offense is going to be able to move the ball at all against the San Francisco Niners defense?
I don't think so. But, God, I don't know what with that Bucs team. Have we seen them play a good game besides that Germany game?
No, I think you're right. I mean, the neutral game against Seattle is their only cover since week 2 of the season. They're 3-8-1 against the number. They haven't covered a game on U.S. soil since the 18th of September.
So you're talking me into San Francisco again.
I think so. I think it's a little bit of a contrarian pick. I think the Niners defense, I just don't see how the Bucs are going to be able to move it on them. And if Purdy can get to 18 or 20 points, I think that this is an easy cover for the Niners.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're just going to do little shots. Maybe they're going to open up the playbook, right? They're going to get Debo involved again. And because you just got to, I mean, I'm not sure Purdy's arm strength and all that. But they're also those injuries in the secondary loom large for the Bucs. I mean, I don't know if they're actually going to play, but they had guys even in the game the other night where they were kind of carting them off the field. Maybe that's what was going on. But, I mean, they had no business. They really shouldn't have won that game the other night. But they,
Yeah.
they made it happen, and it was we'll see. They're not going to be able to do that against the Niners. So
Yeah, I was going to say a little help from Dennis Allen and the offensive play calling staff.
terrible. But, and Mark Ingram. Should we talk about that?
Yeah.
How much he gets the first down before you run out of bounds? Why are you running out of bounds anyway?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Terrible.
Get the first down. Anyway. All right, let's go. I'll color on the 49ers there, 3.5. Because like I said, I mean, I know that it's with, and I don't think it's that big of a downgrade. So I got the game at 7.5 at home. I don't understand. Like, they should be a 7-point favorite. It's Tom Brady, but maybe that's 6.5 for real. So yeah, this is definitely value for the 49ers. All right, last 4 o'clock window game. The Panthers going to Seattle. Seattle opened as a 6.5-point favorite. I don't know where that was, but now it's down to 3.5. Total stayed at 44. I said last week I'm not betting on the Seahawks anymore. I can't do it. Ridgeway can do it. Maybe this is a spot. Carolina, they've played better lately. I mean, every week it's like, what's this team going to do? Get blown out, or they're going to play a really tight game? So now we've got Seattle, who hasn't played well. It's just stay away game for me. I mean, I think that it's kind of depressed. So I don't know why this number's down. That opener made sense to me. 3.5 doesn't, but then again, Seattle can't cover anything lately.
Yeah. I think the bettors are taking wind of Sam Darnold's performance the last time out before the bye. He looked really good, and that Carolina offense put up some points against Denver in the last game. So I think that this is a play on the Carolina Panthers offense for a lot of bettors, taking this number down from 6.5 to 3.5. I think it's probably the right side, but at this point in the game, 3.5 might be a little light for contest purposes. So I'm with you. I think it's a pass.
All right, pass. 2 more games on the card. The Sunday night game is the Dolphins against the Chargers. The Finns were 3-point favorites on the opener, a 3.5 now contest. The totals come down from 53 to 51.5. Chargers still don't have all their weapons and everything, but this is a huge game for the Chargers. I mean, massive game. They have to win this game pretty much to stay in the hunt for the playoffs, and that's kind of my angle. It's more of a narrative angle than a numeric angle. You can tell me how the Chargers are against the pass, because that's what they're going to be doing. But I guess the Finns run a little bit. I know the Chargers defense sucks, but I kind of like the Chargers here. I don't know. It's probably a bad idea, but I just think that it's a good spot for, Herbert to get going.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can get there with you. I mean, going back home to LA is probably not going to be helpful for the Chargers. I expect there's going to be more Dolphins fans in the crowd than Chargers in LA. And I'm not really interested in playing on the narrative, to be honest with you. I think that despite their need to win, the Dolphins are a better football team. And they do have a middle-of-the-road pass defense, 16th ranked, but that run defense is porous. And despite what the Dolphins have been doing this season, Mike McDaniel is still their coach, and I have every expectation that he's going to draw up a game plan that's going to run the ball and take advantage of that. So I think that the Dolphins are going to win and cover this game.
Do we know if the Finns stayed out on the West Coast from San
Good
Francisco
question.
last week?
I don't know that. That's a great question. I would imagine there's probably a good chance of it, but something maybe worth digging into.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's stay away. I think we're differing. It's one of those. I'm sure the Finns will play great, but I don't. Chargers aren't great. I mean, they're not a good team this year, but they have enough talent to keep up if they get a couple of guys who can catch the football out there. I mean, Herbert, he's a great player. What was it? The proxy was like the Herbert information, but I'm like,
he wishes that he had Herbert's hair. He loves the locks.
I mean, I do too. This hair's out of control. Come on, Herbert. What product you put in there? That's good. All right, we'll stay away for the contest. All right, so Patriots and Cardinals in the Monday night game. Again, terrible Monday night game here. Patriots open as a 1-point favorite on the road at Arizona, 1.5 in the contest. Total went from 44 to 44.5. I don't know if the Cardinals got right in the bye because obviously they were quarreling. But I don't know, dude. I mean, New England's a better quote unquote team. I'm not sure. I'm showing some value to New England, but do you trust Mac Jones on the road? I mean, how's that offense?
No, I have only interest in the Cardinals in this game. I think coming out of the bye is going to be a good spot for them. And I think for me, it's just looking at that New England defense and how they've fared against the mobile running quarterbacks this season. Remember in October when Justin Fields came to the house and they really just ran all over the Patriots. And same for Lamar Jackson early in the season. So I think that Kyler Murray is of the same ilk, and these are the kind of quarterbacks that have given that Pats defense trouble. And for that reason, I'm interested in the Cardinals here. And I think on the other side, the Patriots have some quarreling themselves. You've seen Mac Jones giving some grief to the play calling. And, I think there's some truth to that. It's pretty clear that, what's his name, the ex-Detroit Lions coach cannot call an offensive game. So I like the Cardinals.
Interesting. Contest play?
I would consider it. Yeah. I mean, 1.5 is a little short. I mean, I make it 2 on a neutral. I guess it does show some value, though, because really it should be closer to pick 'em by my numbers. And getting that 1.5 could be some value.
Okay. Well, let's put a yellow on it. I mean,
okay.
If I like them as much, I just don't know if I trust the Cardinals. They always suck late in the season, but we'll see if they. Patriots aren't any great shakes either. But well, let's review the picks this week. We'll have to discuss on Saturday. The Jags on the road getting 3.5 against the Titans. The Eagles laying 6.5 at the Giants. The Jets getting 9.5 at the Bills. We like that a lot. Your Detroit Lions to half at home, laying 2.5 at home against the Vikes. And then the Broncos getting 9.5 at home against the Chiefs. 49ers laying the 3.5 against the Bucs. And then the last pick Monday night would be the Cardinals getting 1.5 at home. So I like that spread. We'll have to figure out which one we go with, but I like that cross section.
Yeah, me too. I think we got some good games to choose from this week. We'll be able to make some fine 5 selections.
There we go. We got to get to 5-0, dude. We got to get it.
Yeah, I think so.
Into the contest, we were 3-2 last week. Maybe some bad beats, but it doesn't really matter. That's how it goes. We're at 54.6%, so we're slowly going up. We actually are going up in the standings. 1142nd now, 5 picks behind the money. Top 100 is at 62.3%, 39, 23, and 3. It's really the top 89. And the top dog actually had a really good week. He went 4-0, or 4-1. So he's 45, 17, and 3 at almost 72%, 71.5%. So sorry, Action. We have been eliminated from winning the million. I'm sorry to tell you that. No. I don't think we can possibly make up the picks, but we can make up the picks. We do a pick a week. Let's get the top 100.
Huh. So we're eliminated from first, is what you're telling me. Huh.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I maybe my math's wrong, but this is the way I look at it. In order to get the percentage we need, we pretty much have to go undefeated.
Gotcha.
Maybe we will. 25-0. Let's go. Yeah. Last quarter.
I'm with you. Yeah, considering that the leaders will continue on their pace, not necessarily go over. I follow you. Okay.
I figure that they're going to go 70%. I don't know if we can get to 70%. We'd have to get, it's a lot of. I think I did the math. It's a little tough to do it, but sorry, side action listeners. We'll try to get in the money. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, we got to maintain some focus here. I think we still have a shot at cracking some sort of cash out. Let's do it.
Yeah, if we close, I'm telling you, pick a week. We made up a little bit, just a half pick this week, but we can get some 4-1s and a 5-0 in there. I think we got a really good chance. So, let's talk about the World Cup here. Action. We're in the quarters and the semis by the time we record again. So this is Friday. at this moment, you've got 10 o'clock Eastern, you've got the Croatia-Brazil match. And so you're putting some information here on this one.
Yeah, a couple of great games today. Brazil, Croatia in the early slate, and Netherlands, Argentina. Tough games to call, though. I mean, I want to start off by saying I think once we get to this stage in the tournament, you're going to see the total goals go down a little bit because these teams now have more to play for. It's a little tighter, and you're seeing that reflected in the goal totals: 2.5 for the Brazil-Croatia game and a flat 2 for Netherlands-Argentina. So I think that both the favorites today are a good play. The South American teams, both Brazil and Argentina, are certainly a cut above their opponents. But no real interest for me in betting either of those games, to be honest. I think that both will come out, maybe not necessarily comfortably, but I certainly think that it'll be a South American semifinal.
Yeah, Brazil, Argentina. Yeah, I think Argentina's the team. We'll see what happens. Brazil had some injuries, so we'll see if they can overcome them. In Saturday games, you've got Morocco and Portugal. You got England and France. You got the all-European thing, and then you got the Morocco and Portugal. They're kind of like across the way from each other. Some rivalry there. So are there any leans in those games?
Yeah, I have some bets in both of these games. Starting off with the early match on Saturday, Morocco has been extremely impressive in this tournament, especially defensively. They've played 2 games so far out of their 4 that finished at 0-0. And I think it's not necessarily that they sit back and just defend, because they certainly look for opportunities to score themselves. But in that game in particular, I'm looking at playing unders. I already bet under 2.25 goals for the 90-minute value. And then I'm also betting under 1 in the first half again, which has been kind of my bread and butter in this tournament. I think that Morocco is going to play it a little bit slow and not necessarily let Portugal off to the flying start that the Swiss cheese defense did earlier this week.
The Swiss cheese. I like that.
And then the late game is like must-watch TV for me. England and France, Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. I have a appointment with the sportsbook for this one because it's going to be epic. And this one, I think the look is to the underdog, England here. France has been flying high offensively, but they have yet to keep a clean sheet in their 4 games this tournament. They've allowed goals against Australia, Tunisia, and Poland. 3 attacks that they certainly should not have. And England is going to be a totally another level of attack for them. And I think that England is due to score some goals in this game. So I've bet them at plus 215 on the 3-way money line. But I think that you could look to play them on the spread as well. They're a short underdog, or even to advance. I think that there's value there as well on the England team.
So explain me the three-way money line again.
So that would be win, draw, or win on either side. So if you're betting England at that plus 200 price, if the 90 minutes is a draw, it's a loser. So they have to win in the 90-minute time slot.
Got it. Okay.
I do think that France is going to get on the score sheet too. I'm not necessarily going to tell you that there's going to be 4+ goals scored in this game, but I think another interesting prop that you could look at is what they call both teams to score, BTTS in soccer parlance. And if you want to bet that, I think the best price I saw in the market is minus 117 at Bet Rivers for both teams to score in this game, which I think is surely going to happen.
Yeah, I got a question for you because I'm not tracking as closely as you. Are any of these teams non-pool winners? Like, were any of these 2 teams the 2 in their pool to advance this far?
Let's see, Morocco, Portugal. I think that every one of these teams won. No, I take that back. Croatia was a second place finisher in the Morocco group, but all of the other 7 were their group winners.
Got it. So this is cream is rising a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's par for the course in the World Cup. Rarely do you see big underdogs make it too far, which I think is going to be tough for Morocco going up against Portugal. I do give them a puncher's chance, given the low total. I think it's going to be a tight game, and they certainly could get on the score sheet. They played Spain to 0-0 and won in penalty kicks in the last round.
So it's pretty awesome. Okay, Good stuff. Well, we'll see if I don't know if I can watch the stuff today. I got the company party, but
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow I'll get off the plane and be able to maybe watch some of the England-France game.
Nice.
Yeah. So you're going to Vegas now, tomorrow,
I,
today?
I am, yeah. Plane flight later this afternoon and arrive early evening, Las Vegas time. We're traveling with my dad and a cohort of Indiana fans to watch the big Indiana-Arizona game tomorrow night at MGM.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So obviously, they want their money back. Action. You've won a lot of money from MGM over the years, but I'm sure you're going to roll some dice and win some more.
Yeah, hopefully.
That's awesome. I'm not. It's a little holiday party, company party tonight, which is a long day, kind of long weekend or a week already. Then it's the Ulrich party on Saturday. So
Saw that.
a lot of
Nice.
holiday parties these days. Yeah, yeah. So be fun. Be fun. All right. Well, good. All right. Well, follow us at Side Action Pod on Twitter, at Side Action Podcast on Instagram. Follow me at Wegspool on Twitter and on Instagram.
And follow me on Twitter at 31sroberts.
All right, everybody. Good luck with all the bets and enjoy your holiday parties.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Side Action Podcast. We appreciate all of your listens and thank you for joining us. We'll see you all again next week on Thursday for some more hot picks and side action. Side Action Podcast, its owners and associates take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the show hosts or their guests. Statements or show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of this podcast, and opinions between talk show hosts may conflict. Individuals following the advice given on the podcast accept their own risk of losses from wagers made, as the Side Action Podcast, its owners, hosts, associates, or guests will not guarantee any advice given. The opinions and advice given on the Side Action Podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Intro and outro and transition music credits. Song titles Jerry 5 and District 4 by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.org. Licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0. creativecommons.org/licenses/by 3.0.